She was born into duty, not chosen for it, not given a chance to decide. Born into it. Her mother was the Fist of Shadow, the deadliest agent of the Kinkou Order. Her father served the same cause. From her first breath, the path was already there, waiting for her to walk it. For a long time, she walked it. She was good at it. Better than good. But she had eyes. And what she saw made the path harder to follow every day. Her name was Akali. And the order that raised her was not enough for the world she lived in. Subscribe if you are new. A new League of Legends story every week. This one is about what happens when loyalty stops being enough. The Kinkou Order believes in balance. This is not a simple belief. It is not a slogan or a philosophy discussed in comfortable rooms. It is a way of life, a discipline, a mission carried out in the space between the material world and the spirit world. The Kinkou walk both. They resolve conflicts between realms. They protect the sacred balance of Ionia. And when protection requires force, they use force. Not with pleasure, not with excess, with precision. Akali's mother Mayim was one of the Order's most gifted members. The Fist of Shadow, the title given to the one who strikes when striking is necessary. Her father Tano served beside her. Together they gave Ionia everything. And together they gave their daughter to the Kinkou. Not by force, by example, by raising her inside the Order, by showing her what dedication looked like, by making the Kinkou her home before she was old enough to choose a home for herself. The great master at the time was Kusho, a man of profound wisdom, of genuine balance in thought and action. Under his leadership, the Order functioned as it was meant to. When her parents were away on missions, the Order raised her. Kennen was there, the heart of the Tempest. He spent hours with the young girl, teaching her the finer points of shuriken, teaching her that speed and agility mattered more than raw power, that a smaller opponent with quicker instincts could defeat a larger one every time. She absorbed every lesson, like water into dry ground, like she had been waiting for each piece of information, and it clicked into place the moment it arrived. She asked questions. Good questions. The kind that made her teachers think. The kind that went past the surface of the technique into the reason behind it. Why this grip and not that one? Why this angle of approach? Why this timing? Not to challenge. To understand completely. She grew up fast. Not just in skill. In perception. In the ability to see things other people missed. To notice what was not being said. To understand what was happening beneath the surface. This was a gift. It was also, eventually, the source of everything that followed. Shen was there too, Kusho's son. The boy who would become the next Eye of Twilight. They grew up alongside each other. Not as rivals, as something more complicated. Two young people shaped by the same institution, heading toward the same future, and understanding it in completely different ways. Then the Order broke. Zed, a former member who had been expelled for his refusal to follow the Order's principles. He came back. Not for reconciliation, for domination. He challenged Kusho directly. The conflict was violent. It ended with blood. And when it was over, Zed had the Order. Akali ran with the survivors. Her mother Mayim, Shen, Kennen, a handful of others. East into the mountains. Away from what the Kinkou had become. Away from what Zed had made of their home. Her father Tano did not make it out. This is a fact she carried. The weight of it. The specific gravity of losing someone who was supposed to be safe. Who was supposed to be protected by the very Order that had failed. The survivors rebuilt. Slowly. Carefully. Shen became the new Eye of Twilight. He committed himself to restoring what had been lost. Not as revenge. As obligation. As the natural continuation of what the Order was supposed to be. They took in new students. They rebuilt their numbers. They returned to the three principles. Seek what you cannot see. Protect what must not fall. Cut what disrupts the balance. Akali was 14 when she formally began her Kinkou training. She was determined to become the new Fist of Shadow, to take her mother's place, to carry the title that had defined her family. She trained with the Kama, a curved blade designed for close combat. She trained with kunai, throwing blades, precise, silent, effective. She had no magical ability. This was rare in the Kinkou. Most members drew on spiritual or arcane gifts. Akali had none of that. What she had was skill. Pure, practiced, relentless skill. And she made it enough. More than enough. She proved she deserved the title without a single magical advantage, the other members noticed. Some were impressed. Some were unsettled. There was something about watching someone achieve through sheer will what others reached. Through gifts that made people uncomfortable. It raised questions they did not want to examine. Akali did not care what it raised. She cared about the work. For a time, she even helped train the younger students. She was good at it, patient in a way that contradicted the restlessness underneath. But the restlessness was always there. And she was watching. Ionia was suffering. The Noxian occupation had not ended cleanly. The wounds were still open. People were still dying. Not in grand battles. In quiet, daily, grinding ways. In the margins. In the places the Order was not looking. She was looking. She saw it. Every day she saw it. Villages that had lost people. Families that had no protection. People who needed something done and were receiving philosophy instead. The Kinkou and the Shadow Order had reached an uneasy ceasefire. Because of the occupation. Because the common threat was larger than the conflict between them. Akali understood the logic. She could follow the reasoning. Step by step she could see how someone who cared about the big picture might arrive at this. Someone's position. She did not accept it. Because the big picture was made of small pictures. And the small pictures were people. And the people were suffering. She watched the logic fail people. She watched the balance the Order was protecting remain theoretical, while real people suffered. In the material world, Shen told her to be patient. Shen told her to govern herself, to meditate, to use mantras, to trust the process. She tried. She genuinely tried. But the mantras did not protect anyone. The meditation did not stop what was happening outside the temple. And the patience she was being asked to maintain felt, with every passing day, less like wisdom, and more like avoidance. She was trained to be an assassin. She knew how to eliminate threats. She knew how to move through darkness unseen. She knew how to find the people who were causing harm and make them stop. This was not theory for her. This was her actual skill set, built across years of training, built out of the specific circumstances of growing up inside the Kinkou, of losing a father to the consequences of failing to protect, of watching Ionia bleed while the people who were supposed to act kept talking about principles. She had the tools, the situation required the tools, and she was being told to wait. She stopped waiting. She told the entire Order, directly and without softening it, what she believed. That the Kinkou's endless talk of spiritual balance was achieving nothing. That Ionia was dying in the material world, that she was trained for exactly this kind of work, that she was going to do it. With or without their approval, Shen did not stop her. This is the part that matters. He did not argue. He did not punish. He did not try to hold her back by force. He let her go. Because he understood something about Akali, that she was still learning about herself. She needed to walk this road. She could not be carried down it. She could not be talked into someone else's version of it. She had to go out into the world and find her own answer. and maybe one day she would come back. Or maybe she would find something out there that the Order had missed. Either way, it had to be her choice. She left. No ceremony. No formal declaration. No dramatic final speech. Just gone. One day there. The next day, not. Into the part of Ionia that needed protecting. Doing the thing she had been trained to do. Not for the Order, not for the balance, for the people. She carried the Kama. She carried the kunai. She carried everything Kennen had taught her about speed and precision. She carried her mother's title. Even without the Order behind it. Even without their sanction. Because the title did not belong to the institution. It belonged to the work. And she intended to do the work. On her own terms. At her own speed. Answering to no one but the people she was protecting. She had grown up inside a tradition, built on the idea that one person standing at the right place, at the right moment, could hold the line between chaos and order. She believed this. She still believed this. She just no longer believed the Order was the only way to do it. The Order had its principles. She had hers. They had overlapped for most of her life. Now they diverged. And when a path diverges, you have to choose which one you are actually walking. She chose. No hesitation. No looking back. She had her mother's title. She had her father's memory. She had Kennen's lessons in her hands, and Shen's quiet respect in her mind. She had everything she needed. The rest was up to her. If this story stayed with you, subscribe. Every week, a new League of Legends lore. The ones who walked away to do the right thing.